Suscepimus Deus misericordiam tuam in medio templi secundum nomen tuum Deus in aeternus tua in fine justitia plena est dextera tua. Magnus Dominus et laudabilis tibi in civitate Dei nostri in monte Sancto eius. Gloria Patri et Filio et Spiritui Sancto, sicut erat in principio et nunc et semper et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Suscepimus Deus misericordiam tuam in medio templi tui secundum nomen tuum Deus in aeternus tua in fine justitia plena est dextera tua.
Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Et in terra hominibus bone voluntatis, laudamus te, benedicimus te, adoramus te, glorificamus te. Gratias agimus tibi, procere magnam gloriam tuam. Domine Deus rex celestis, Deus Pater omnipotens, Domine Filii unigenite, Iesu Christe, Domine Deus Agnus Dei, Filius Patris, qui volis peccata mundi, miserere nobis, qui volis peccata mundi, suscipere preccationem nostra, qui sedes externa quadris, miserere nobis. Omniam tu solus sanctus, tu solus Dominus, tu solus Sanctissimus, Iesu Christe, un Santo Spiritu, in gloria Dei Patris. Amen.
Dominus vobiscum,
Et cum spiritu
oremus. Lancere nobis quesumus Domine, sempre Spiritum fugitante, perictas un propitius et agenti, ut visine Dea sepe possumus, secundum te vivere vadiamus, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum, tuum Filium, qui venias Trinitatis Spiritus Sancti, Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Lectio Epistolae Beati Pauli Apostoli ad Romanos. Patres debitores sumus non carni, ut secundum carnem vivamus. Si enim secundum carnem dixeritis, moriem mini, si autem spiritu facta carnis, mortifica veritis, vivetis. Quicumque enim spiritu Dei abundunt, isunt filii Dei. Non enim accepistis, spiritum servitutis iterum in temore, sed accepiti spiritum adoptionis filiorum, in quo clamamus, Abba Pater. Ipse enim spiritus testimonio credit spiritui nostro, quod sumus filii Dei, si autem filii et heredes, fidem Dei, coheredes autem Christi.
Es Domini, in Deum pro Monte Santo
Dominus vobiscum, sequentia Sancti Evangelii secundum Lucam.
Gloria a Dio.
In illo tempore dixit Iesus, disciplus suis parabolam amo vida veratives, habera Cristo, et diplomatus es apud illum, quasi dissipasit bona luxius, evocabit illum et aetuli, illo audio de te, rederationem, predicationes tui, iam enim non poteres predicare, et autem liricos libra se, qui facciam quia Dominus meus aufreda me, predicationem, ponderi non vario, medicare illugesco, cio qui facciam como motus quero et predicatione, principiam me in domum suas, convocatis itaque singulis spiritoribus Domine sui, diciebat primo, quantum devis Dominum meum, alini dixit centum cadus orient, desique ille, arcipe cautionem tuum et sede cipo scribe, quinquagenta, de alie dixit, tu vero quantum devis, quiae centum poros predici, et ilia certe litteras tuas et scribe ottogenta, et laudabit Dominus filii communitatis, quia prudente ficesi, qui filii huius seculi productiores filii duces in generationis suas sunt, ego vobis dico, facete vobis amicos de mamona iniquitatis, ut obliviceretis principiam vos in eterna tabernacula.
Before we begin our reflection on today's readings, intended for the 8th Sunday or the 8th Sunday after Pentecost, in the celebration of the extraordinary rite of the Eucharist, please monitor the announcements that we will post at our website, our Facebook account, regarding next Sunday schedule, because right now we're trying to settle a particular problem of the schedule, and so if we can resolve that, then we will let you know as soon as possible. So again, I'd like us to connect the readings from today's liturgy, intended for the extraordinary rite of the Mass, with the readings that are normally read in our parishes for the ordinary rite of the Mass. As always, I say that because I want us to be connected with the readings, although we are not participating in the Novus Ordo today, yet at least we can see that the celebration of both the new order of the Mass and the traditional rite of the Mass are interconnected intimately, that even the readings resonate with each other, although they taken from different texts of scriptures. So for the sake of those who have not read beforehand, the readings from the new order are taken today regarding the parables of Jesus, regarding finding treasures in life, whether it is a pearl of a great price, or the treasure buried under the ground, or the net that is caught a lot of fish, and so on and so forth. put that side by side our readings, which is translated to you in our handouts, regarding this parable about the shrewd employee who had to give an account for his handling of the funds for his master. In the commentary of the famous Don Prosper Gueranger, who was largely responsible for the restoration of the Benedictine order in France, and who is also credited for leaving us behind the gift of this monumental work in liturgy, a 15-volume work which he calls The Liturgical Life. For today's particular Sunday, the 8th after Pentecost Sunday, he has this to say. He tells us that this used to be called as the 6th and final Sunday after Pentecost. Well, that may not mean much to us, what is a question of numbers or a recounting of weeks, but Don Prosper was saying, it is said this way, it was labeled this way because in the old days, Easter used to be celebrated in late April, close to what is called the spring equinox. We have no idea about how the spring equinox works because we come from a place where we do not experience the change of seasons. But this was an accommodation of the late Easter celebration in April, and then immediately followed by the Sundays of Pentecost, which our Sunday today falls part of. Now, the other reason why I think this is worth mentioning always as a matter of reckoning weeks is because he continues to say that if we put ourselves in the place of the first Christians, a few weeks after Pentecost, a few weeks after all the great events have taken place, from the Lord's death and suffering and death to his resurrection, his ascension into heaven, his coming down to heaven, and so on and so forth, we can imagine that by this time, Prosper says, the early Christians began to depart from the Holy Land to the east and moving towards the east. And only because at this time, the persecution of the young church began to intensify. And also, for the reason that they remembered a prophecy that Jesus uttered just before his death on the cross. He mentioned of the time when Jerusalem will be completely destroyed, including the temple that was built and funded largely by Herod to restore that of Solomon's temple, which at this time was in its most splendid state. Jesus said, not a stone upon the stone of this temple will be left standing, only because the people had not known the visitation of God in them, among them, through himself, through Jesus. And so Jesus, in this dramatic moment in his life just before his death, went to Mount Olivet and gazed out into the open area before him, looking at the beautiful temple of Solomon restored by Herod, and he wept for the city. The early Christians, according to Don Prosper Gueranger, on their way out of Jerusalem, passed by the same spot and looked at this beautiful temple dedicated to Yahweh and wept for the temple, wept for the chosen people, wept for the city in recognition that the time foretold by Christ had come. And true enough, in the political history of Israel, the temple was destroyed around this time. This seemingly application of the scriptures, and largely also aided by the use of the imagination in trying to allow us to relive the moments immediately after Pentecost, gives us the deeper realization that there are many things in life that we value, that are of value, which eventually in time will be seen no more. Whatever that is. It could be a new pair of shoes that you paid so dearly for. A few months, a year after now, you will soon experience the breaking down of the parts of the shoes, especially if you don't wear it because it's too expensive to be worn regularly. So it's the shoes you keep in your cabinet for show, that you have these branded shoes, but you notice that if you don't wear it, something goes wrong with the shoes, and before you know it, you can't even use it. Something of the temple is of that sort, that is in your cabinet right now regarding your shoes. So today's readings, both from the New Order and the Extraordinary Rite, addresses our recognition of life's real treasures, life's real values. Perhaps you will ask, in what sense is that true in the readings of today for the extraordinary rite? Well, because in the end, this man knew what his priorities were, so that he had to manipulate his way out of the situation, as described in the gospel story, and then all because he had to give an account. He had to give an account. So somehow in the new reading, the readings from the new order tells us to find our real treasures in life. The other side of that is, once we find it, we have to give an account for it. How we have handled it, how we have allowed it to transform our lives and those of others, and so on and so forth. It's like receiving a huge sum of money left to you for development, for further investment, and so on and so forth. A commentary on the readings from the New Order, which I hope is not confusing you now because I'm moving backwards and back and forth from the two sets of readings. The commentary about finding life's treasures in the readings for the New Order of the Mass would have us identify our treasures in the grace of Jesus Christ. That our real life's treasure is in the grace in finding and experiencing and receiving the grace of Jesus, because it was paid dearly by the life of Jesus himself. There is a beautiful story of a mystical saint, a woman saint from the medieval ages, who was asked to pray for souls for their conversion, and she complained because she had been praying and she sees no change of heart among those whom she is praying for. So Jesus appeals to her again and says, pray some more. And she said, I will not, because these people are hard of heart. And Jesus says, you cannot say that. You cannot make that judgment for them, because you have not experienced what it means to die for a soul. Unless likely you have done that, you cannot say that outrightly, that they are not worth your prayers. They cannot be changed at all. They are beyond hope, because you have not died for souls. To place a high premium on the grace that is given to all of us, which in the new order of the Mass today is what the second reading is all about. And then in the Gospel about finding the treasures, Jesus identifies it as the kingdom of heaven for us, which basically consists of three concrete experiences when we are here on earth. Our membership in the church, in the community of the church, is a priceless treasure because it is our belongingness to God's kingdom. Our weekly celebration and even daily celebration of the Eucharist is another priceless treasure, because no food on earth can compare with what it has to offer. And thirdly, our life in heaven at the end of our lives here on earth is another treasure that is invaluable to us. Now, as baptized members of Christ Church, we belong to the church, we are given the Eucharist, we even have two manners of celebrating it. We are promised a life in heaven if we keep God's will and God's commandment. In the extraordinary rite, we have to accuse ourselves of in what way have we been responsible for these treasures, which for us simply is the treasure of God's kingdom given to us by Christ. How responsible are we in the management of these treasures? Do we love the Mass more than we ever did years ago? Or are we becoming, for instance, more indifferent to it? Are we really willing to reorder our lives, especially our course of actions, our choices, our thoughts, our words, etc., in view of our life in heaven? Or are we willing to lose heaven so that we can have our way while here on earth? What about the church? Do we love our being part of the church? Do we participate in all her activities? Do we love the sacraments? Do we study her teachings? Do we take time to pray as we are told, using the treasury of prayers that are in the church? Or we are negligent and indifferent to all this? Because at the end of our lives, we will be asked by God, what have we done with our being part of His mystical body on the earth? What have we done with having been fed by the Eucharist many, many times in our lives? And what have we done, what we have been doing in view of our promise that we will be given a life in heaven with Him? If we have not invested much now in these things, we should consider this point as a warning, a filial warning addressed to us, to not take for granted the things of God while here on earth, because they can determine well our eternity after this life.
Credo in un Deo,
Padre omnipotente, Factor celi et terrae, visibilium omnium, et invisibilium, et in unum Dominum, Iesum Christum, Filium Dei unigenitus, et ex Patre natum ante omnia saecula, Deo lumen de lumines, Deum verum de Deo vero, genitur non factum consubstantiatem Patri, et quem omnia facta sunt, qui propter nos homines, et propter nostra salutem, descendit de celis, et incarnatus est Spiritus Sanctus, et ex Maria Virgine, et homo factus est, crucifixus est iam pro nobis, sub Pontio Pilato, passus et sepultus est, et resurrexit tertia die, secundum Scripturas, et ascendit in caelum, sede ad exteram Patris, et iterum venturus est cum gloria, judicare vivos et mortuos, cuius regnum edificis, et in Spiritum Sanctum Dominum, et vivificantem, qui ex Padre Filio et procedi, qui cum Padre et Filio simul adoratur, et cum glorificatur, qui locutus est per profetas, et unam sanctam catholicam, et apostolicam ecclesiam, confiteorum baptismam in remissione peccatorum, et expecto resurrectione mortuorum, et vitam venturis seculi. Amen.
Dominus vobiscum,
Et nebus Deus.
Populum humilem salvum facies Domine, et oculos superborum humiliabis.
Quoniam quis Deus preterte Domine,
Clamor meus in conspectu eius in prohibit in laudes eius.
Factus gustus interfalitur, sed audicus solo tuo creditur. Credo quid dixit Dei Filius, nihilo verbo veritatis verius. In cruce latebat sola Deitas, activat et simul et humanitas. Amotamen credens atque confidens, et opor petivi latro pendiens. Lagas sicut Thomas non intuero, verum tamen verum te confiteo. Facetibis templer magis credere, intes mem avere et diligere. O memoriale mortis Domini, anis vivus vitam restans homini, resta mementi et vivere, et illi semper luce sapere. Vie pelicane Iesu Domine, mei mundum nunda tuo sanguine, cuius nudas fidas salvum facere, totum mundum qui ab omnis scelere. Iesu quem vellatum nunc aspicio, oro fiat illud quotam sisio, ut revelata ex facie, visus in beatus tue gloriae.
Orate fratres, ut meum adversum sacrificium apud Deum Pater, Gabriel apud Deum Pater.
Verona secula seculorum.
Amen.
Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Sum boda.
Abemus ad Dominum.
Gratias adamus Domino Deum nostrum.
Dignum et justum est.
Verdignum et justum est, et cum et sanctare, nos vivit semper tudique gratias a Te. Domini Sancti Pater omnipotens et Deus, Vicum unigenito Filio Tuo, et Spiritus Sancto, unus et Deus, unus est Dominus. Non in omnius singularitate persone, sed in omnius veritate substantiae, poderem tua gloria delante de credere. Ode Figlio tuo, ode Spirito Santo, sin la diferencia de expresiones en ti, por in confessione dei sacramenti veritatis, e de personis proprietas in licentia unitas, in majestade adovertu et te qualitas, quod la gloria d'angeli arcangeli, cherubim, apoque ad serafim, qui non cessat clamate morire, o la voce dicente.
Sanctus, Sanctus, Sanctus Dominus, Deus Sabaoth, Regis Celi et terra, gloria tua.
omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Oremus, recite salutarius Moise, et divina institutione normate, audem plus dicere, Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimitte nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimittimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem,
Sed libera nos a malo.
omnia saecula saeculorum.
Agnus Dei, qui moris peccator mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, qui moris peccator mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, qui moris peccator mundi, dona nobis pacem.
Dominus Domini. Dominus Ecce Dei, ecce Creator peccata mundi. Dominus Dominius, et resurrectionem eius, et pater Ecclesiae Sanctorum.
Magnificat Dominum Ecum.
Et exaltemus nomen Deus in ipsum. Gustate et videte quonia suavis es Dominus. Beatus vir, qui sperat in eo.
Exquisivi Dominum et exaudivit me.
Et ex omnibus tribulationibus meis eribuit me. Gustate et videte quonia suavis es Dominus. Beatus vir, qui sperat in eo.
Accedite ad Deum et illumina mini.
Et facies vestre non confundentur. Gustate et videte quonia suavis es Dominus. Beatus vir, qui sperat in eo.
Gloria Patri et Filio.
Et Spiritui Sancto,
Sic ut erat in principio et nunc et semper.
et in saecula saeculorum. Amen. Gustate et videte quonia suavis es Dominus. Beatus vir, qui sperat in eo.
Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Oremus. Sit nobis Domine liberatio mentis et corporis celestis mysterium, ut cuius exequimur cultum scientiamus effectum, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum, tuum Filium qui vivit et regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti, Deus per omnia saecula saeculorum.
Amen.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater, et Filius, et Spiritus Sanctus. Amen. Dominus vobiscum. Inizio Sancti Evangelii secondo Ioanne. In principio erat verbum, et verbum erat apud Deum, et Deum erat verbum. Hoc erat in principio apud Deum, omnia per ipsum facta sunt, et sine ipsi facta factum est. Nihil quod factum est, in ipso vita erat, et vita erat lux omnium. Et lux in tenebris luces, et tenebrae eam non comprehenderum. Fuit homo visus ad Deo, in nomen erat Ioannis. Id venit in testimonium preverit de lumine, et omnes crederit per illo. Non erat ille lux, sed ut testimonium preverit de lumine. Erat lux vera, qui illuminat omnem, venientem in hoc mundo. In mundo erat, et mundus per ipsum factus est, et mundus eum non coniovit, in propria venit, et sui eum non reciperunt. Quod autem reciperunt eum, dedit eis potestatem Filius Dei iri. Is qui credunt in omni eius, qui non est ex sanguinibus neque ex voluntate carnes, neque ex voluntate viris, et ex Deo natis sunt. Verbum album factum est. Et accabit nobis jubilemus gloriam eius, gloriam quasi unigeniti a Patre plenum gratiae veritate.